Happy Tuesday, and welcome to another episode of Excellence in Everything Live, where we discuss the three C's, everything in building the confidence of today's teen, helping them build competence for their ideal career industries, and then ultimately molding them to have a competitive advantage for today's workforce. Everything that we talk about covers those three C's. Today, I want to do something a little special because, we're in a new school year, and I always find like anytime you start something new, there's an opportunity to revisit some of the behaviors and patterns that you're already implementing just to see if it could be a little modification. And because I travel the country and I talk about the importance of having a year of excellence, that was actually my topic this weekend at St. Bonaventure University for their new student orientation. Their opening keynote was titled "A Year of Excellence." We just talked about practical ways in which you can implement having a year of excellence. And honestly, I wish I could have that same conversation with the staff, the faculty, every person who would touch the intersection, the involvement, the planning, the facilitation, the instruction, every person who would touch the student. I wish I could have had that same conversation with them about having a year of excellence through culture. But since I couldn't have it with them, I'm going to have it with you. I'm going to have it with you. And that's ultimately today's topic that I want to talk about, like creating a culture of excellence. It's not about perfection. It's not about, getting everything right, or it's just aiming to create an environment where the only option is your highest quality of effort. That's the only option. And I always If you're interested in having me to come out, you can go to linnitahosten.com/connect. We're going to jump right in for today's topic right after the intro. Awesome. I'm excited to have you here. Again, my name is Linnita Hosten. For those of you who I have never met before, and I coach high school students to devise what I call a PPP. And that's not the loan that they're giving out to help small businesses, but it's a post high school productivity plan with the goal of helping students seamlessly transition into their dream careers with ease. And I'm always met with this resistance. There's no way that a high school student could know what they want to do at that age. And that is so not the truth. So many examples could lead into that, but that's not the point of today's episode. But I did want you to have something like a kind of an idea of whom you're listening to. If you're watching live today, go ahead and type in the chat, "I am here." If you are catching this in replay, you can type in hashtag replay. Let me know you're here. And if you're watching from a specific city, I'd love to know that too. Elijah, I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you. Seemed like we had some sound difficulties, but you said it's back on. Praise God for the restoration of sound, because that's the most important part of our show. You got to be able to hear me. Oh, hey, Mapson. Hi, Mapson says, "I am here." I'm excited that you're here. Mapson is a proud dad. We call them power parents. I pray that your students have an awesome and safe year. And again, Elijah, I'm excited that you're here as well. You are from Lafayette, Louisiana. I love it. I love it. Awesome. Hi, Janet. Janet is also here. I love it. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate your support. And I'm excited about today's topic. Let's just jump on in. And as you all are here, I will recognize you. If you have comments, please jump in. If you have questions, also jump in. Culture is like Culture is defined as a attitudes and behaviors and characteristics of a specific group. I feel like culture sets the tone for the environment. It's an established, informal sense of rules that people like naturally adapt. It becomes like a part of their identity when they're in the shared environment. And I feel like most communities have systems in which they are enforcing culture. So they have systems like recognition. So they have like employee recognition. Like if you meet a sales quota, in the education system, they have systems like the honor roll assembly to recognize those who are having high achieving academics. There are also other systems like outside of staff recognition, you have like what we call like engagement champions. So you designate a committee to lead or spearhead the intentionality of ensuring cohesion and unity amongst your staff. Those are what we call systems to create culture. A lot of companies have the mindset of using those systems to promote culture. But I just feel like, when you're attempting to modify something, make it better or improve it, I think we shouldn't tackle the problem, but we should seek to support the people. Everything that I love to talk about, super practical, and it's always going to be based on the people that it impacts. So I feel like creating a culture of excellence is not about what the problem exists, but really being intentional about the people that you serve. I'm assuming everybody that's here tonight in some capacity is a leader in some way. You lead your home, you lead your school community, you might lead a church group, you might lead the dance team, you might lead the student government association, you can lead Bible study. In some capacity, if you're here today, I'm assuming that you are a leader. And if so, I feel like leaders in micro communities have such a profound impact on very small environments that are a part of really big macro environments. And there are three things that I want to share today. I have some examples that I want to talk about it too. The reason why I feel like creating culture from an excellent standpoint, I think it's valuable because it's infectious. Like when we are raising the bar of expectations, you either you feel led to improve, to become better, you feel better to like get on board, you feel inspired, you feel driven, you feel like it's associated with the mission, you feel like you're evolving as a person. There are some domino effects when the expectation is of excellence. And I thought that there were some practical ways in which I've seen people do this. You can't model anything without being yourself. And I think what makes most leaders really powerful is them being able to embrace their authenticity. I can't tell you how many teams I've been a part of, and the leader is not their ability to remove their mask that doesn't even exist. There's like this language or this posture or this look or this persona, this image that has to be like associated with them leading. And whenever I do leadership trainings, one of my most powerful ones is leading from the passenger seat. And I always say, like, when you're leading from the driver's seat, which is initially what most people feel like you should be leading from a place where, you are in control of the vision. You can control the temperature. You can control the speed. I actually don't agree with that. I feel like the best leaders are leading from the passenger seat where you have uh, the complete ability to like modify your positioning without like changing the direction of the team. Like you don't have to stop, you don't have to get gas. You can and I use this metaphorically, but you can turn around, you can grab someone's hand, you can support the driver in the direction. Those are the greatest leaders. We don't always have to be in charge and leading from the driver's seat to have a level of like influence. But part of that I feel like comes with a level of authenticity. There's like a level of vulnerability. I have seen this not many times. I haven't seen it many times. But I feel like when we're authentically ourselves, we are like giving other people the permission to do so. And I follow this school online. It's called the Statesman School. They're all boys middle school, charter school. And one of the things that I love is that their staff, they're modeling the visualization of what they feel like they want young boys to do. So every staff member has their shirt tucked in. Every staff member has a tie on. Every staff member has on a collared shirt. And some people might say, well, okay, that's a European way of dress. There are other ways to have, business wear or that sort of thing. I don't disagree with that. But what I'm always an advocate for is that the behaviors that we desire to see our kids embody are the ones that we should model. So while it might be uncomfortable to teach in that all day, like imagine a sixth grader watching every teacher that they are led by. All of them are dressed in a way that is well groomed. All of them have their shirts tucked in. Like we're actually teaching them the formality of dress when it's appropriate. And so I love that at the Statesman School. The other thing that I love is that when they were welcoming their students, and it's hot as a mug outside, they're still in that same dress. We also have to model the energy that we desire for our communities to have too. So if you want your team or you want your leadership exec team to be excited about coming, what's your excitement leading up to what you all are doing? I love that at the Statesman, they had a series of events leading up to back to school. I'm using a school community as an example, but it doesn't have to be a school. But there wasn't just like first day of school, hoorah. There was a series of events leading up to the first day. It was a pep rally. They did some parent engagement activities, but it was a intentional thing. And a part of that intentionality when I was reading up on some of the work that they were doing was making sure that every staff member had a chance to authentically share who they were. So a great way to, I feel like, create a culture of excellence is to model it through your honesty and your vulnerability for sure. You know, the best way, one of the best teams I've been a part of, I was on the executive leadership board for a nonprofit. Before we would start our formal agenda, we usually met for 3 to 4 hours. We spent 45 minutes talking about the state that we were currently in. Had nothing to do with the agenda. We talked about family issues, anything bothering us. We talked about the prayers that we were petitioning for God to answer. Nothing to do with the work. It was the most powerful way I've seen the display of concern. This was the culture that the leader of the nonprofit was using to establish amongst our team. It was to the point where I was looking forward to those 4-hour board meetings because you got a chance to not only like free up space in how you were feeling, but you had a chance to like hear other areas where people were in need of, be there to support them, but you felt like your well-being mattered. And I'm a part of a lot of things. So I get a chance to see like different variations of community, different variations of leadership, a whole lot. I'm probably a part of like 7 organizations at this point right now. It is rare that I see the person whom is leading the group, organization, small committee. It is rare that I see them make time to even have concern. It's not that people don't have concern. I think naturally we do. I pray that we do. We have some level of heart and concern for others. It's the timing. We don't have a lot of time, so we feel, to add that component in. What I'm sharing with you today is that communities of excellence, they actually care more about the well-being of the person than the transaction of the task that they're expecting from them. It creates a sense of like, I'm bigger than just what you get from me when I'm here. Like, it makes a person feel like a part, included. It makes them feel seen and heard and valued. Concern is such an easy thing to display. Here's some examples if you're thinking about creative ways you could display concern without it taking up time. When you see someone, instead of resulting to small talk, hey, how's it going? How you doing? You could say, tell me one good thing that happened to you this summer. Or you can say, what's one area that I could pray for you in? Or you can say, what's one big challenge that you're looking to overcome in 2022? Remember that thing. And then when you see that person repeatedly, bring it up. Ask how it's going. Write them a note. Hey, thinking of you. How's it coming along in this particular area? It's the most easiest way that doesn't cost you a lot of time, but there's a natural display of concern. It's really easy to create, they use this as a form of manipulation, actually, in the 48 rules of power. But to create loyalty with people, you create trust. You establish trust by having some sense of likeness, but also some sense of consistency. Well, I'm not saying manipulate people so that you can have them to be loyal. I'm saying be concerned about them so that they can be involved and attached to the mission, so that you can increase your engagement, so that you can then decrease your turnover. Like, I think part of having community is the building. That's the hardest part. It's like building the cohesion and then maintaining it over time. And displaying concern is an easy way to do that. If you are at the top of the leadership pole, you have sub leaders, or I don't know, whatever you would call them. Teach them this thing. Maybe that's not something that you have the capacity to do, but there's something that you can totally delegate, and then you can have them report back to you those things, and then you as leader can follow up. That's a great way too. But I would find a way to infuse it so that it's not left aside. People want to know that their well-being matters. That their well-being matters. There's this one guy that I follow on Instagram who started a charter school in California. And one of the things I saw he asked was, if you're concerned about the turnover, at your organization, I want you to take a look at your budget and see how much money you've allocated for the growth, personal development, and professional development of your team. What are you giving them to make them stay? And ouch to the person who is not doing that. This mic keeps falling. Or to the organizations who may not have had a chance to think about how they are creating a culture of excellence by just giving through their generosity. So concern is definitely an area I just feel like, it takes a little time, but I don't think it's impossible, easy to implement. You know, the last really easy characteristic that I like to see more people do is infuse symbolism as they're looking to generate or create a culture of excellence. Symbolism is using like a repeated identity to like communicate something. So my symbolism, and most of you probably already know this, I'm just really curious to see if it's in my background. I say it all the time. It's a part of this show. What is my symbolism? It's a word. What is it? Let's just see if you guys can guess. What's my symbolism? What is my symbolism? What do I use? What am I repeatedly saying? What am I repeatedly displaying? What's the word that you always hear me say? You see it all the time. You see it here, there, everywhere. It's one word. What is that? What is that? Let me see. Yes, Ridgeway. Olajuwon said excellence. I've never even met you before. Have I met you before? It may change. Maybe I have. Meltania said excellence. Absolutely. The symbolism of that is, you see it behind me. It's my excellence creed, but it's in how I prepare for our live streams. It's in my speech and all of my content. It's like a repeated form of like, it's a reminder. Symbolism could also be like, it could be on a t-shirt. Like, let's say I had a community. Let's say I ran a leadership team and I wanted to take that vision of excellence and I wanted it to, for lack of a better word, spill over into my community. This is what I would do. I would give them, I would ask for them to create a creed involving the words of excellence, like have them be a part of the buy-in. So I'd say, I want us to create a mantra creed that we'll say together every time we assemble, something that's infectious, something that lifts our spirit, something that we say to start every meeting. Instead of giving them my excellence creed, I could, but I would want it to be something that we all buy into. And then I'd say, this is what we'll say every time we meet. Like churches call it like a covenant. They say it like once a month. But the difference is that covenant was, well, that's a little tricky because that was obviously, some of that is biblical, but some of it is infused by the church leadership, had nothing to do with the congregation. But when you're a part of the process, like you're creating a symbolism that everybody can be a part of. You could also do that. I could do t-shirts. I could do Excellence Fridays where I highlight people who are doing excellent things outside of their normal role. I could partner with the morning announcements if we had a TV production team and highlight other teams around the world who are operating in excellence. We could bring in small businesses once every Friday and have them talk about how they've been able to create a culture of excellence in their communities, but teaching my team that. So the consistency of the messaging is the same. It's a great way to infuse like a standard of expectation if you're seeing it repeatedly without you having to like always be the person that's spearheading it. Another way I feel like symbolism is powerful is if there has to be somebody who's accountable to this thing. Like somebody has to be like, okay, Olajuwon, you said this was of excellence. This committee meeting is missing some, like assigning a person to make sure that what you said you like to embody, what the culture is that you said you like to create is actually being done. That could be the liaison. That could be your culture liaison, your culture cheerleader. I don't know. But outside of you, if you're driving this change or you're driving this energy force, who can help keep you accountable to making sure that happens consistently, whether that's weekly, monthly, and then that it also happens creatively? So again, another level of symbolism, a different kind of like, a different kind of like, I guess, creative way. I talked a little bit about Principal Raw. He lives in Compton, California. He started a charter school. Someone in his community came in to create a mural in his school. I think he decided to close the school this year, but the mural was supposed to exemplify Black excellence. I always say what you see and hear repeatedly will manifest. So the intentionality about the symbolism in your places of learning or environments of working, it should reinforce the message that you're trying to um, convey. So if it is excellence, like showing other people who are exemplifying excellence or who have achieved those things, like the energy should almost be like that's the only option when you come here. It should literally be that. It should be that everywhere, on doors, on the agendas. Like the consistency and the cohesion, I feel like is really important. And then you could always just like get you an excellence creed poster too. I have them 18 by 24. This is what you see behind me, and then they come a little larger too, 24 by 36. I've never said this aloud, but I actually created the Excellence Creed so that schools could adopt it for their morning announcements. In my mind, it was an opportunity to get the staff and then the students on board to commit to words, the energy that they wanted to display for the day. And when I recite the Excellence Creed, I'm saying it with a level of conviction that I believe this is possible. So I say, my mind is of excellence. My visions are of excellence. My unique superpower is nothing short of excellence. I amplify a voice of excellence. I envision when I wrote this, like I literally wrote this in the pandemic. I envisioned that over the morning announcements, like you say the Pledge of Allegiance, and it'd be an energy changer for staff, for leadership, and for students. I never implemented it, but yes, but that was the intent of it. Now I just have it. People buy it to hang up in their offices or to hang up in their rooms. And I have it obviously here in my room too. If you're interested in grabbing a copy of the poster, you can totally do so at shopwithlinnita.com. If it's your desire to create a culture of excellence, you could gift this too. That's just one way. I'm just trying to say, I'm trying to give y'all some suggestions. Just some suggestions. That's it. That's all I'm saying. But I feel like when we're leading something, like to be a good steward over it, God's words just reminds us that whatever we fix our hands to do it with all thy might, and that's excellence. So when we are given the opportunity to lead, oversee, in church they say shepherd, like to be a part of, to create the vision for, like do it the best that you can with the highest quality of effort. And that's not perfection. Like some days you're gonna wake up and you're gonna be like, I don't want to do this. And this is hard. And these people don't appreciate me. And I don't get paid enough. You might even say I'm not getting paid at all. And when I have those feelings, I remind myself I do my work unto God. And that's it. Because ultimately, He is the rewarder of everything. And I know that if I'm being diligent amongst my work, that's another form of me diligently seeking Him and embodying the characteristics of Christ. If you're not spiritual, sorry, I just got deep, but that's just how I feel. And that's where my level of like my conviction for wanting to do things with excellence, that's where it comes from. It's actually biblical. But I know you ain't asked for all that. Elijah said, keep talking about it. It may manifest. Yes, everything that I've said aloud, oh my goodness, sometimes it's actually scary. When I always tell people, God don't play about me. He do not play about me. He will align some stuff. So I'm just intentional about the words that I say. And so how can you be intentional about the words that you're saying in the community that you are already a part of? Again, easy, practical stuff. I ain't had no magic tricks for you. If you was expecting me to jump up, down, and do a backflip, I'm sorry I didn't have that this week. But I hope you were challenged to think about how you can creatively and consistently raise the bar of expectation in a way where people will want to be a part of the mission and that they're also committed to it too. Because those are the environments that we see the most growth, development from for the long haul. And those are the kind of environments we want to create. Thank you, Olajuwon, for chiming in tonight and keeping up. Tell me your biggest takeaway. Those of you who are still watching live, what was your biggest takeaway from today? What is something that was mentioned to you that you can implement in your own communities? And as you all are typing those, I'll share this last story. When I graduated from undergrad, a few months later, I was literally hired to be an assistant cheerleading coach at a very challenging high school. I was 23. I had never been a cheerleader before. And the community, the culture of that school, there was none. There was not. The culture was so bad that at the games where the cheerleaders were cheering, people would be throwing sunflower seeds. The culture was like, there's no reverence or respect. When I first came to the team, most of the girls did not have the same shoes, sock. There was no uniformity. There was no standard. Like anybody could be on the team. Like you come and stay after practice. Like, it boiled my skin. It was a lot of work to change or to implement change. And this is where I started. I raised the bar of expectation. I said, if those of you who are interested in trying out, I know the minimum requirement, I don't even know if this is legal. The minimum academic requirement is 2.5. You need a 3.0 to be a part of this team. I also raise the standard. If there's any behavioral, anything, emails, calls, text messages, if a teacher pulls me aside and say that you did anything that was contrary to what the standard is, you and the team will crab, which basically means you down on your hands and feet. You can't move. I don't know if I can explain it. That was the second thing. The third thing is until you have perfected every cheer in our book, we had 80 cheers, you will not meet the line. Let me tell you, they was looking at me like, never ever had that standard. The other standard was we will all wear the same lipstick. There was like, when I see a team, I value uniformity. It looks clean. Like everybody have to have the same socks. We fundraise like crazy. We was over at the car wash down the street. I convinced the man to let us use his parking lot so we could have a bake sale. We raised like $1,200 in a day, but we was hustling. But I used that money to help them get socks and shoes because we were dealing with a community whose parents didn't have the money. But when I tell you, when you're trying to create a new culture, it looked like that. It looked like making something impossible possible, because sometimes I don't even think they thought they could look polished or they could look uniform or they could look like other teams in the county. They were accustomed to just being, it's just, that's just what it's always been. I was determined to change that. And I did. It was rough. It was hard. And I put up a lot of my own money. In some cases, I spent a lot of time, a lot of conversations with parents. They did not like that. See, people don't like when you come in and you want to change something for the good if it doesn't benefit them. So yeah, I had to have a lot of hard conversations, but when I tell you the bar was raised and they start meeting that bar, proud is an understatement. GPAs went up. Like I probably was pulled aside twice. I coached for 4 years, twice about a behavior issue. Teachers would say, "Thank you, I see an improvement." I mean, it was crazy. It was a domino effect because some of the other coaches was like, "Okay, well maybe I should raise my standard too." And that's what I mean. Like you could be a micro leader. Like your part of leadership is so small. You feel like I could never change that, or I could never do. You never know what you could do. Your micro influence could have a macro impact. And I loved it. Like we need to be raising the bar of expectation. Like let's give them something to aspire to versus meeting them where they are. But when I tell you I work hard, child, oh my goodness. I'm catching up now. Hi, Tonda. Tonda said, great words, thoughts, actions. Absolutely. Thank you. Olajuwon shared his biggest takeaway was symbolism, the ability to develop a culture through modeling and repetition, not doing it once, but doing it so often it becomes a fabric of which the group of the community is built. Churches are really good at doing that. Really good. Like they're really good at embodying consistently to the point where you start saying church phrases, not even knowing it becomes a part of your identity. They're really good at doing that. Yes, Melton, your standards are so important. Oh my gosh. I mean, raise the bar. And the crazy thing is, one time I was, one of my clients at a university, I created the title of my keynote, or a subtitle was something about raising the bar of excellence. And she came back and said she wanted to modify it because it implied, I forgot the language that we use, but basically it means when you're saying things that are mm, 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 that are not like uplifting to people. She said basically when you say raise the bar, you're assuming that the bar is already low to the people who you're targeting. And I totally understood what she meant. So she was saying, like, can we change raising the bar to trailblazing excellence? I said, absolutely, we can. We can change the wording, but ultimately you are raising the level of expectation and awareness, however you decide to word it. But I totally understood the sensitivity. But that's what we're doing. Thank you, India. Hey, India said this is a great story. I mean, it's the truth too. I ain't lie about near one thing. Okay, Jan, this is the last one. Janice, takeaways: engaging your team by making them feel a part of something. 2, leaders don't need to drive. Try the passenger seat. See, only a real leader would actually try that. That's hard. You try surrendering your level of control and trusting that your team could do it in your absence. Like, that's a whole nother level of leadership. And excellence is possible. It is. It's just the standard that you set. All right, that's all I got. I try to keep our time together brief because I want you to keep coming back. And thank you for allowing me to share. Again, it's a pleasure to do so. I'm excited about your school year, whether you're in a school community and or just lead or love a team who happens to be a part of a community. And if you're leading a team this year, it's a great way to assess, your level of expectation. And is it of excellence? And if not, what you going to do about it? I'll see you next Tuesday, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. I absolutely love you. There's nothing you could do about it. You are excellence. Your mind is of excellence. Your visions are of excellence. Your unique superpower is nothing short of excellence. You amplify a voice of excellence. Your contribution to this world will be of excellence. You will achieve your highest goals and desires with excellence. Excellence in everything, every